Hey guys, tonight is June 15th, 2023, and while I'm settled in for the night with my braids and my pajamas, I know it's been a hot minute. I wanted to stop in and say hi to you guys who have been supporting us, and I'm sure that a few of you at least are curious about the status of our garden. So I thought I'd do a quick golden hour garden tour with you to show you how well our beautiful tomatoes are. So let's go take a tour through the backyard garden on this beautiful evening in June. There really is so much to catch up on here. We have been so extraordinarily busy, but I wanted to show you the pride of our garden here in New Jersey. And New Jersey is known for its wonderful tomatoes. And this year we are growing a bigger variety than ever. This tomato here was the first one to show up in the garden. This is Thornburn's Terracotta. This was a free tomato seed that was offered to us from Baker Creek for a special promotion they were offering. I think it was even late last year. So I was happy to see this variety come in the mail and went ahead and sowed a few plants, and I'll tell you, I couldn't be happier. Every single one has a healthy bottom. They have an absolutely incredible color to them. They are growing happily. There's no problems with the leaves or the growth of this plant whatsoever. So if you are considering growing Thornburn's Terracotta, right now as far as growing goes, I can say that I'm very, very happy with it. So soon we'll find out about a taste test. Can't wait. This tomato here was also a free tomato from Baker Creek tomato seed. This is Black Beauty. And this tomato is very, very aggressive. It wants to grow very, very tall. It's very, very bushy. It needs to be pruned over and over. Some of the branches did get away from me, and so I do have some suckers that have suckers. It just wants to grow. I mean, look at all of these sets that are growing. It's starting to really just explode. The size of this stem, and compared to my finger, you can see how thick it is. And this was from a sucker that snuck away from me. It's gigantic. Now, here is the beautiful fruit of the Black Beauty tomato. It is incredible. It has a very, very healthy bottom on it. It does stay green. I don't know if you can see down there. It does stay green until it's ready to be eaten. When it's ripe, the bottom turns a pinkish red color. So if you're trying Black Beauty for the first time as we are, we had to research to find out what we could expect from it as far as ripeness. So, you know, a soft touch and a red bottom is when the beautiful Black Beauty tomato will be ready. The next tomato here is Dr. Witchy's. Again, this is our first time with this variety, and you can see it has so many sets on it. Every single tomato has a beautiful, healthy bottom. And I have read through so many people through reviews that Dr. Witchy's Yellow is one of their all-time favorite tomatoes. I can tell you that the plants are growing with no problems. It is, again, a very, very thick stem. It wants to have suckers at all times. And I have pruned, this morning I pruned 2 giant buckets of suckers off of it and extra leaves. And I am pruning aggressively this year because the weather is so extreme. We are having a little bit of a problem with aphids this year, so I'm doing my best to stay on top of it. I also have a lot of flowers planted intermingled in here. I have marigolds and nasturtium. There's zinnias and cosmos. I have 2 types of calendula in here that are growing on the ends. So this is really just the beginning, you guys, of what the tomato garden is going to look like. The last tomato on this set is Mortgage Lifter. And Mortgage Lifter is just taking a little while to show up, but finally today I'm seeing some little babies. So this entire row here is the first year for all of these varieties for us. And so I'm really just getting to know what they do. This sucker here just came up, and look at the size of it, so I'll have to prune that off. The tomatoes are very forgiving. You can see all the areas where I've been pruning aggressively, and it just heals over. These tomato plants are extraordinarily healthy. Again, I have nasturtium planted. You can see nasturtium is a trap crop. So those little squiggly lines in here are from leaf miners that are going to the nasturtium before it goes to anything else. So again, marigolds, zinnias, and calendula is the theme for the flowers that I'm growing in all of these beds here. Over here I have Martino's Roma, and I'm having a big, huge problem with aphids this year. So again, everything is heavily pruned. You know, some people comment that there are folks who prune like little palm trees, and that's basically what I'm doing, because I'm not treating these with anything to kill the aphids. Yes, we do have quite a large infestation, but there are tomato babies on here also, to see if I can find one for you. But the tomatoes are actually growing very well. I'm not having any aphid problems to the fruit. It's just they're really congregating on the leaves. So I feel like I really just want to, you know, I'm riding it out. So I know it's dangerous, but I just don't like treating with chemicals. Over here is a little comparison I'm doing. The one on my right side here is a Martino's Roma, and on the left side it's an M.I. Gardner Roma. And you can see the size difference in the plant. I really like the M.I. Gardner Roma so far. It's got a lot of sets on it. It's putting out a bigger fruit, and I'm pretty excited to see what it's going to do. Also in this area, I have Kentucky Wonder pole beans. They grow very easily. They want to germinate very quickly, and they are happy to produce a lot of beans. You can see already that they are starting to want to trail. So this is a great pole bean if you're interested in that variety. This is a French fillet bush bean that variety is just not doing very well for us. So, you know, I must have planted 20 in here, and I got one little bean to pop up. So, but it's okay because I have them planted all through the garden. So this is an area where we enter into a separate little garden that we created. And traditionally I grow Chadwick cherry in this giant cage here because the Chadwick cherry is very aggressive, and I switched it up. So in addition to growing marigolds as our flower, I also have some lettuce leaf basil growing in here. There's some volunteer chamomile, and this side here is the M.I. Gardner Amish paste. Now, if you're growing Amish paste, and maybe this is your first time, you'll see that the Amish paste is sort of like a very dramatic tomato plant. It's very weepy and wilted looking, and you know, you're looking at it saying, oh, am I supposed to give it more water? Does it have too much water? What is it doing? Why does it look so wilty? It's just the nature of the Amish paste. You can see that it is setting fruit, absolutely gorgeous. It's got beautiful, healthy bottoms on it, and these Amish pastes are doing very well. Also from M.I. Gardner on this side, I have a traditional San Marzano tomato. Well, there's actually like 4 of them. So there are some San Marzano babies on here somewhere. I can't spot them right now, but they are definitely, yes, there we go. There's a M.I. Gardner San Marzano in there. Hopefully you can see it. There we go. So it looks good. No blossom end problems. I'm very happy with the M.I. Gardner tomatoes up to now. I just can't wait. We're just a few weeks away. So this is a beautiful crimson marigold that is new to the garden this year, and I can't wait to see that. Again, on this side, I have planted more lettuce leaf basil, which is very happy out here to grow. And I like it because it is very pungent, and it's very wide leaf. So it starts to offer some shade to the base of the plants. You can see inside of here, there are also some fruits visible of the MI Gardener traditional Roma. And again, we are aware, I'm sure you see them, we are having a major aphid infestation this year. We don't know what the problem is. Over here I have several varieties of basil growing. I have to come out and harvest it because it is going to seed. I have lemon, I have holy tulsi. The cinnamon basil is incredible. It has such a wonderful aroma to it. Here's my Genovese basil, and that is Emily basil. I love, love, love lemon basil. This was a transplant, so it did start to tank after it went in. It's just part of its nature. So it'll come back, and if you hear me sniffing things, it's because they smell so wonderful. This is another cattle panel where we have our cucumbers growing. Now, last year and the year before, we had just basic hog panel here, and tomatoes do really well to a certain point, and once they get up to where it starts to arch, the hog panel actually starts to bend. So we did the hog panel starts to bend. The cattle panel will hold up the cucumbers much better. Now this is a Burpless Beauty, which is a wonderful cucumber. They are delicious and crisp, and they are disease resistant, and they hold up very, very well through the season. I direct sow all of my cucumbers now, and I plant flowers with them to attract a lot of pollinators. So I have nasturtium, and I have some zinnias in here. And in the back there is some random erigeron that showed up that I couldn't be happier about. And there's just a little bit of a story to that, but we're quite happy to have erigeron volunteers. And over here I have more nasturtium, and on this side of the cattle panel I am growing Market More 76 variety of cucumber. So we are big cucumber fans, and we'll probably eat 8 to 10 cucumbers a week in our salad, and we always look forward to that. So hopefully we're gonna have some cucumbers soon, guys. They're starting to get their tendrils, so they should be setting fruit soon. The big problem I have with that is that we have the Chinese spotted lanternfly showing up now, so I hope it doesn't cause us the same problem that it did last year. I'm just going to point out to you, this arch here, like I said, is made from hog panel. So it does go up and arch the same way as the cattle panel. We did a video about this. It's just a little bit more flimsy, but it's great for climbing tomatoes and lighter weight items. So I do still recommend the arched hog panel. It comes in really, really handy. So let's go for a walk now through the rest of the garden, and you can see we have a bunch of beautiful ornamental daylilies that are now finally starting to open, and we get quite a show. These daylilies were here when we moved in, and we have started to split them. We had an incredible strawberry harvest, and you can see that we still have a lot of very healthy strawberry tops. Our Duke blueberries are starting to ripen back there. You can see they are very, very large blueberries. So we cannot wait to get in here and start harvesting. Also, our blackberries are climbing beautifully. You can see there's a ton of fruit in there, and we keep this little netted area closed, so it's a little difficult for me to get in while I'm holding a camera, because we have so many wild birds that just come in and decimate the garden, so we keep the berries blocked off. But this little PVC area here that we call our berry barn is just covered in bird netting, and it helps to eliminate the problem with birds being pests on that. So now we're just going to take a tour through the main part of the beautiful garden, where you're going to get to see how all of the tomatoes and the corn and the zucchini and everything else is going. So let's go ahead and start walking through the garden. This is our little cornfield where we grow Silver Queen hybrid, and half of this bed is from fresh seed that we purchased through Ferry and Morse, and the other half is from a corn cob that I saved last year and let it dry out. and that's all on the left side. And you really can't tell one from the other. So we're hoping that because this is a hybrid, you know, saving and harvesting seed from it, you know, we don't know what really could technically grow here. It could be another type of corn that could actually pop up, but hopefully it will be a nice sweet white corn like the Silver Queen. And this is getting ready to go into its next phase where it's going to require another fertilizing round. It's starting to split and get into its greater vegetative state. So once it gets to V6, which means it's going to have 6 stages of vegetation, we'll be going to fruit pretty soon. So, oh, you can see it's starting to get brace roots. So that's a really great sign that it's going to go ahead and throw seed pods pretty soon. So, oh my goodness, you guys, we're gonna have corn pretty soon. I also have beans growing in this bed. I have burgundy bush beans these are from Botanical Interest, and they're a little dirty right now because we had a pretty heavy rainstorm yesterday afternoon. I also have Blue Lake growing in here. And again, we're struggling with beans this year, which doesn't make any sense. Some are coming up, some are not. Something's eating them. You know, here's one popping up fresh. So I don't think it's the soil. I think it's something eating them. So we'll have to wait and see what's happening with that. Over here's another interesting development. These 3 seedlings here are from orange flesh cantaloupe, which I bought from the grocery store last year. And I went ahead and harvested the seed, and I thought, all right, you know, maybe I'll sow these. Maybe we'll see what happens. I really didn't expect that they were going to produce anything, but they germinated immediately. These are sugar bush baby watermelons, and I know they're all a little bit close, but we're going to go ahead and train them, and we're going to let them trail down through the rocks. So we've done this before, and we usually have pretty good success. This area of our garden is a little bit messy because we didn't create actual beds around our soil area to retain the soil. And, you know, down here you can see we did timbers, and we have a concrete block that holds in all the soil. And I was hoping this year to get into creating actual beds around the soil, because you do lose soil when you don't retain it. So that's why things look a little bit messy around here. We also have this problem with these petunias that I was telling you about in another video. So they're still popping up everywhere. But these 2 tomato heres were extras that I had from the original bed that I showed opening the video. This is another mortgage lifter, which is doing very, very well back here. This is a new area for us to grow tomatoes in, so we're still in discovery with this. So here's a beautiful little Dr. Witchy's, again a very healthy bottom. So these 2 tomatoes are doing wonderfully. Over here I have an abundance of shishito peppers that are growing mixed in with the petunias that we're treating these as weeds at this point, and we're just pulling them out as they come up. And just a week ago, we had this entire area completely weeded and petunia free, and they just keep coming up. So we have to spend another day back here with that. Over here, I have zucchini growing, and this is, I think this is called Black Beauty. We do have tiny little zucchinis growing. This is a big favorite of ours here. It grows very easy. I have succession sowed 2 more plants that are coming up behind this, so it's probably just a matter of time now before squash bugs come and start laying eggs. This over here is the Cocozelle summer squash, and that also has babies. So this is going to be a traditional striped zucchini squash that is throwing tendrils. So I don't know, I might actually try to stake this up as it grows. So we'll see. I've also succession sowed 2 more babies in this bed, and so we'll have something growing at all times. Over here I have, this is tender green cucumbers. This is a great cucumber. I got these from M.I. Gardener because I had mentioned these in another video where I talked about growing these inside of the greenhouse because they don't need to be pollinated. They grew so happily. They're climbing up the cattle panel here. I succession sowed a few more behind it. I also have White Wonder growing, which has been very difficult to germinate, and something is eating it. And then I have a few muncher varieties, which again are not really cooperating very well either. And I have some nasturtium, and I have I think I sowed some marigolds in here and a few zinnias. So we do have some sort of an insect problem back here, and I suspect it is these little gray garden locusts that are giving us a problem. Another area where we're starting to get our pest pressure now, you guys, this is time for pest pressure. We are treating our eggplants. This is the Casper eggplant. Whatever it is that decimates it, which is we're pretty sure is the flea beetle. We've been spraying this with spinosad, and it's really helping because normally by now all of these leaves are completely laced. We will get fruit. It's just we cannot seem to be problem-free on the eggplants. We're doing our very, very best to grow them. These holes look like they're probably from the grasshopper. This one here is a Rosita eggplant, which grows very prolifically. So based on the fact that we are treating these eggplants and we're still having problems with our leaves getting decimated, you know, we just really can't figure out what to do at this point. So we also have a few more Casper eggplants here, and we will get fruit. There's no doubt. It's starting to get flowers on it, so we have to, you know, keep our fingers crossed and see what happens with that. So this is the main part of the garden. This is the heart of the garden here. So it's been 5 weeks. May 8th was when I put all of the tomatoes and the peppers into the soil here. These are the Borghese tomatoes. You can see they are getting beautiful little fruits as well. They are very happy here, and these are easy tomatoes to weave onto the cattle panel. Again, this used to be a hog panel, but we went ahead and changed it to the cattle panel so we can get a more heavy vining tomato here. So the Borghese is great for climbing, so I've been able to weave it in and out, and I'm also weaving the Grappoli d'Inverno tomato, which is producing a tremendous amount of flowers. There's tons of little babies on it, so I know we're going to have plenty of roasting great tomatoes from these plants here. Let's see, over here we have some very, very happy Chadwick cherries, and I grow this every year. When I tell you I have to prune this aggressively, the Chadwick cherry produces so many tomatoes. It produces so many suckers and so many leaves. It produces also a tremendous amount of blight. So we are doing our best to stay on top of that this year because it is already into big production mode. Again, this was part of my big pruning for today. We're just gonna have a gazillion tomatoes. And over here we have 3 more of the Grappoli d'Inverno. Lots and lots of fruits are starting to form on these plants here. New to us this year is the Jersey Devil, and this grows very similar to the Amish paste. It's a very dramatic tomato plant. It sets a very long, thin Roma tomato, but it's holding up well. It's not showing any signs of disease. It just has that wilty, unhappy look about it, and I know because it has a very long, dramatic, weeping leaf. I'm just not stressed out about the character of its growth pattern. I'm just letting it do what it does, and I'm just staying on top of it and pruning it, giving it lots of air, you know, aeration space, and I don't have it too confined. We're going to keep this on, you know, obviously they split, so they get multiple stems. So I'm unable to do a single stem method with these, but it's okay because it's all getting seriously managed. And in this bed with the tomatoes, I have purple opal basil growing. I have some Alaska variegated nasturtium that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and more amazing calendula. And I think walked by, how could I have just walked by this and not given you an update on my calendula volunteers? I am in love with Pink Sensation calendula. In love. This whole thing are volunteers here from last year, and we just left them. I love calendula. I will plant it every year. So now we're in the main tomato bed here, and there's a lot going on. So what I do here in the tomato bed is I plant a living mulch. So eventually some of these wider leaved annual flowers produce such nice wide leaves and deep single tap roots that don't interfere with the tomato plants. The leaves start to shade the soil and they act as a mulch. So in here I have borage. It's a mix of white borage and blue borage. There's zinnias. There's various colors of cosmos that are ranging from 2 types of yellow, 4 shades of pink, 2 types of orange yellow mix. There's some chocolate cosmos in here. There's all sorts of nasturtium, and you can see basil, and this is starting to get shaded nicely. And these taller flower stalks here with the white flowers, and you'll also see it with pink and red flowers, is our beautiful buckwheat varieties that we grow. So the first tomato that is in this row here that I have, I think 4 or 5 tomatoes, is the Hungarian heart. Growing very, very nicely. We have very healthy bottoms here. This is showing some signs of pest pressure from the aphids, different types of aphids. But other than that, I keep it, you can see, very, very spindly, and I take all of the leaves off of it because this tends to throw suckers very, very quickly and easily, and they just get carried away. And the Hungarian heart likes to lean, and it becomes very heavy. This is a huge tomato already. Sorry about the screaming parrot. You can see very healthy bottoms. It's starting to really produce a lot of fruit now, and the pest pressure is really just laying off naturally because we've had an explosion of ladybugs. So we have some fasciated blossoms on here as well. And I expect to see a tremendous amount of Hungarian hearts. So if you're growing them for the first time and you're a little thrown off by the nature and the shape of their leaves and the character of the way they hang, just don't worry about it. Just keep an eye on them and make sure that it's not pest pressure, and keep them well supported, and expect that they are going to want to travel. They get very, very tall. So I have numerous supports. Even though we have a hog panel system here and a trellis, I am out here trussing and trellising tomatoes every single day. But it's okay. This is what I anticipate. This plant here is the Abe Lincoln. And this is the first time that we're growing this variety. And, you know, I didn't really know what to expect. I just know that this is known for producing a very, very large fruit. So it's been taking its time producing tomatoes, but they are starting to show up. You can see that there's a few back here that are finally starting to set. Again, beautiful, healthy bottoms. No problems with that. And also next to it, we have classic beef. I have grown classic beef in the past, but I always had just tremendous problems. Lots of disease, not producing any flowers, not producing any fruit. But we did a video a few months ago where I was planting these, and I was talking about how I amended the soil this year, and it seems to have made a really big positive difference. So I'm happy to see classic beef growing very, very happily. Lots of babies setting. And as well as another new tomato for us is the Brandywine Pink. This is taking its time setting fruit, but it's finally just starting to show up now. 5 weeks later, but I'm getting tomatoes. Again, everything has very, very healthy bottoms. You can see here, no problems with the blossoms at all. You do see that there's buckwheat growing everywhere through this garden. And the buckwheat is a soil fixer. It pulls up nitrogen and phosphorus and different minerals through the earth. So I like to keep these growing close to the tomatoes for numerous reasons. The buckwheat attracts pollinators. It's beneficial, like I said, to the soil. It throws off shade to the base of the tomatoes. It keeps the bed nice and shaded at the bottom. So all of these flower varieties in here are, grown for a reason. So here's another Brandywine pink that is really starting to take off now. So very excited to try the Brandywine. Now I'm starting to approach the absolute love of our tomato heaven every year, which is the Park Swapper. This is the first year we are growing it from seed, and you can see, look at the sets of the Park Swappers. I think I have 5 or 6, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think I have 5 Park Swappers. Tremendous amount of top flowers growing. This is a very well-behaved plant. The Park Swapper is a hybrid tomato, and you can really see the difference in how this hybrid is growing. And while the heirlooms are beautiful, this tomato has been very reliable to us through the years. Bought as a starter plant from Bonnie's, where you can buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot. So this is the first year we went ahead and did it from seed, and never again will I buy a store-bought plant that if I can buy it from seed. Now, if you can't start stuff from seed and you buy starter plants, that's just fine. It's no judgment. It's just, you really see a difference in the quality of your plant. So these are growing so beautifully. We're anticipating that the Park Swappers are going to be ready somewhere between July 5th and July 15th. Growing in here also, in every little cell of the concrete blocks we're using for our marigolds. And this beautiful borage here was a volunteer. These are all flower heads that have yet to bloom, but it's a truly beautiful blue flower. And this afternoon, it was covered in ladybugs. I don't know where they went, but I was very, very happy to see them. Because we do have some aphids back here, so the borage is attracting ladybugs. John was also able to harvest a bunch of ladybug nymphs that we've been dispersing through the garden. So these little frilly flowers here are various cosmos. Again, I have so many varieties of nasturtium growing. This is just going to be an absolute blast of color when everything starts to bloom, as far as flowers with the zinnias and the cosmos. So totally exciting. So here's more Park Swappers. You can see no problems, happy plants. We are so excited about this. The last variety of tomato that's growing in this bed here is Kellogg's Breakfast Yellow. They are growing really pretty good. This is an heirloom tomato, so it is, the aphids are really liking this. And this very first tomato that formed had a very strange fasciated blossom. And so it's showing some strange growth pattern stress, but we're allowing it to go because it doesn't look like pest pressure. It's just something that happened with the blossom. The tomato next to it is absolutely pristine and perfect, so we're just letting it go. Now I have 3 of these growing. I actually started several more from seed early on, but I shared a few. So this is what we're left with, is just the 3. And this side, they're taking their time. I have a couple little babies starting over here. You can see they're growing quite happily. No signs of blossom and rut this year, you guys. And this is a big deal for me. This is the most beautiful our tomato garden has ever looked. A lot of this buckwheat here is a volunteer from last year and the year before. We always have plenty of buckwheat growing. We have marigold volunteers, and these 5 plants here are is there 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MI Gardner Romas. So these are growing very, very bushy. I think you can see inside they are setting a very beautiful elongated fruit. And they're doing well. They're holding up well. They really want to produce a lot of beautiful green leaves. I've been having to prune them heavily at the bottom because the last thing that you want to do is not have room for your tomatoes to grow, or if you can't see what's getting up in there, because the army worms should be starting soon and they like to hide in there. So the Roma tomatoes tend to be susceptible to the army worms. So that is this side. So we have Romas, we have all of our big slicers going on here, and all of our flowers growing. Now on this side, there's so much to show you, you guys. There's no way for me to keep this video short. These are more Amish paste, and these, you know, these are getting a little moody. Now this is the Baker Creek that I've been growing for the past several years. You can see it's setting fruit, no blossom end rot. There's plenty of tomatoes on there. And these 4 here are the Mystery San Marzano Lungo 2. And I had explained before that I call them the mystery because some of them are producing an actual elongated Roma tomato. But then from time to time, we're so blessed to have these beautiful fruited pear-shaped fruits, which we think could possibly be some Abruzzi pear seedlings that got mixed in. And these are the most beautiful, delicious Roma tomatoes that you could ever want to have. So I never know what's going to germinate when I start these seedlings. And at least one of them is what we suspect is an Abruzzi pear. It is absolutely, oh my gosh, I am so happy to see this plant. Now, down here, this is a lot going on. There's no way that this could be a short video. All of my Cubanea, or Cubanelle you could call them, are growing happily, all grown from seed. Jimmy Nardello's giant Marconi is now starting to produce babies. And there's something interesting that I want to show you as far as the peppers go. Giant Marconi, look at the babies it's producing. All of this was grown from seed. Over here I have Keystone Resistant. This is grown from seed that I harvested from plants from last year that I bought at the garden stand. So the Keystone Resistant is a great pepper plant. It grows the most beautiful red striped peppers, and now I'm learning that I can also harvest their seeds, so I don't have to buy this ever again. This was an extra Jimmy Nardello's that didn't fit in on the other side. And look at this, how sad. These are California Golden Wonder bell peppers that were planted at the same time as all of these. All of those I grew from seed. They're from the farm stand. All treated with the same fertilizer. I think that what happened is that they were exposed to cold temperatures at the farm stand or at the farm, and they just stunted. So I'm going to let them hang on and keep my fingers crossed, but wow, what a difference. Over here I have more of the beautiful Alaska variegated nasturtium I can't wait to see. These are all shishito peppers. You can see I actually have peppers growing already. And these are all nadapeños. So we're going to have plenty of those. I see a few hanging in the back there. So it's an early season for them. They love this part of the garden because it is very hot and dry and arid. Now, well, they love the temperature, and the plants themselves love this kind of heat. As these peppers, especially the bell peppers, start to get big, we offer them some shade in the afternoon because peppers do tend to suffer from scorch. So the next phase of the garden that's growing happily are all of the carrots that I sowed. Some of them are actually starting to crown. There's so many varieties in here. I had almost full germination in this bed. They're looking really, really beautiful. And then over here we had let some kale and some mizuna. Yes, the whole world has mizuna. We let it go to seed, and it seems to have somehow protected everything else from the cabbage loopers. And I'm going to explain that to you a little bit more in a second. These giant heads of lettuce are holding on. This is iceberg lettuce from MI Gardner. These heads are so gigantic. I have yet to really get in here. I think this head of lettuce here might actually be ready to harvest. So if you're looking to grow giant heads that you haven't grown before, all these outer leaves get peeled away and you go in and you find the head in the middle. So when we harvest that, I'll keep you posted. Now, what I wanted to tell you, these are cauliflowers, and just until a few days ago they were in absolutely pristine condition. Never have I had cauliflower look so pristine this late in the year. The difference was we allowed all of the kale to go to seed. Once we started cutting back the seed pods and getting rid of the kale that bolted, we noticed that the leaves of the cabbage started getting eaten into. So I don't know if I'm on to something with allowing those seed pods to act as a trap crop, but I'm going to look into that more, and I'll have another conversation about that later on. Also over here I have some Baker Creek variety of beans coming up. These are Blue Lake. There's another one down there. I use these as cloches to keep the bugs off of them. It seems to work. They are the dollar store trash bins. Now in here I have Clancy potatoes that I grew from seed, and I don't mean seed potatoes, I mean tiny seeds. That they're coated seeds. This is a tiny little new potato that grows. This is doing incredibly well. I grew these inside. I started them weeks and weeks and weeks ago. They are ready to be hilled, and I'm certain we're going to have beautiful potatoes out of these 2 bags. This is a rainbow blend. Oh, by the way, these are from Botanical Interest, Clancy potatoes. This is some kind of a rainbow blend of carrots from M.I. Gardner, and you can see they are starting to crown down there. And here's what's left of our lettuce, which is still hanging on. I have heads of lettuce. All these varieties, there's some of them are starting to bolt, but we're still eating beautiful fresh lettuce. Back here I have dragon's eggs, cucumbers growing with some nasturtium. There's marigolds and zinnias growing. I have Kajari melons that have germinated, just two of those. And back here I have Marketmore cucumbers, and I'm growing them in succession. Are they planted a little close to each other? They are. This is the way I do it. This is the way they grow, and I'll show you as they germinate, or as they grow, since they did fully germinate. Cucumbers can crowd, they can become diseased, they can get powdery mildew. So planting cucumber plants this way is not for everyone. But as they grow, I'm going to explain to you why I did it this way, so you'll want to stay tuned. I have a few that I did in succession. I have a few zinnias growing back here, and some more nasturtium that I planted because you want to attract pollinators to your cucumber plants. So look, I have broccoli that I will be harvesting. Again, the leaves are in such good condition because we allowed the seed pods to grow in the kale. So I think that is something, you guys. I think that really helps to protect the rest of your brassicas. I have a bunch of broccoli that's doing really well, and to see it this healthy in June has been a real surprise to me. So this broccoli here is starting to go to flower. But even the Brussels sprouts hung on, and they had no pest pressure until just the past few days. Like I said, these are in really good condition. I don't have any actual Brussels sprouts yet, but just seeing that my vegetative state got this far gives me a lot of encouragement to keep trying to grow the brassicas. So, but look at the rest of the garden. Oh my goodness. This is so beautiful. So yeah, lots going on here, you guys. Everything is growing happily, and within the next 2 to 3 weeks we should be in ripening tomatoes, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. There's a whole lot going on here to see. Now I wanted to show you just a couple things that are starting to bloom more profusely back here before I let you go for the night. So since I have left the beautiful vegetable garden area, now I'm into the flower gardens around the greenhouse here. We have so many flowers blooming that I just had to show you a quick update of what colors we have available. This anemone was just open. It looks like a red poppy. The anemone from Costco is so worth it. I will grow this over and over again. Well, it's a perennial corum, and it opens and closes like a morning glory. They're incredible. But the thing that I wanted to show you here, the liatris is starting to change colors, so we should see some tall purple shoots on that very soon. But will you just look at the snapdragons? Oh my goodness, I have a bunch of flowers over here. This whole thing is going to be just full of flowers. I was so surprised when I came out earlier to see a new color. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to call this. So it's like a mix of yellow and mauve. It is so incredibly beautiful. This is the tall deluxe variety that I had spoke about in my last video of perennial snapdragon. Really, really gorgeous. This anemone here was wide open this morning. It looks very much like a dahlia. It's so beautiful. I can't encourage you enough to plant flowers through your garden, everyone. It's so important. There's so many pollinators back here that are just absolutely loving it. So this was supposed to be just a 10-minute video to give the folks who have been following along a quick tour of what's happening in the actual vegetable garden. But as you can see here, our backyard garden is just so full of things growing, from fruit and vegetable to tomatoes and so many things, flowers. There's so many flowers to show you, you guys. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, we sure hope you'll consider doing so. If you really liked seeing our tomato garden tonight, please give us a thumbs up and make some comments, and we sure hope that we'll see you again in the future. So thanks for spending the night with us, guys, here in the middle of June in our beautiful garden tour, and we really hope to see you guys in the next video.